Warning, spoilers ahead for Disenchanted. So I watched Disenchanted when it came out on Friday, and while making this video, I didn't really rewatch it, but I watched some parts. I also started watching it this morning, again. But I'm going to do a little review of it, and I actually thought it was pretty good, as well as like a plot summary of it. Let's get started. So I opened with Pip narrating the original story of how Giselle was a baby found in the forest, and obviously like how she married Robert, and how Morgan grew up, and how they had a girl named Sophia, and how things were really stressful. And my favorite part is where he says, but the hardest part of all was Morgan, who became what in that world they call a teenager. Anyway, so we learn that Giselle is just kind of, she doesn't feel like New York is her happily ever after until she sees a sign that says that says to go to Monroeville. So she said, so her and her family say goodbye to New York and move to Monroeville, the suburbs of Monroeville. And things aren't too bad, and things aren't too good. And Morgan is just like really grouchy. And yeah. On the next day since they moved there, Nancy and Edward from Andalasia show up and gift Sophia an Andalasian wishing wand. And that night, after a day at school, for Morgan goes wrong, and after Giselle's life just isn't happily ever after, she decided to use the Andalasian wishing wand to wish for a fairy tale life. She wakes up the next morning and she has her fairy tale life, all right, everyone's singing and dancing. Morgan is doing chores, Robert's a knight, and pretty much, yeah. Also, the queen, surprise, of the new Monrelasia, is the, basically, person who's very involved of Monroeville, Malvina Monroe, and as well as her two assistants, Ruby and Rosaline. So yeah, Malvina is the queen, or I should say evil queen. Giselle, when she's talking to Fairy Tale Life Malvina, when a clock chimes, she does some interesting things that more of a villain would do. Anyway, her and Morgan go shopping for dresses, and guess what? Giselle actually rips up Morgan's dress, and then Giselle discovers that her wish is turning her into a wicked stepmother. Also, I want to point out that I haven't seen Strange World yet. For those of you who might be asking if I've seen Strange World yet, I haven't got any comments from saying, but I will. I am planning to watch Strange World. Anyway, then Giselle goes up to Morgan's room to discover that it's full on Cinderella's attic room. Anyway, Malvina and Ruby and Rosaline decide to talk to the magic mirror, who is a barista in the real world before the wish. And also Robert, he can't slay dragons. Just give it up, Robert. Pip turns into an evil cat because, according to Giselle, stepmothers don't have cute chipmunks. They have cats. Anyway, so they talk to the scroll that came inside of the Andalasian wishing wand box, and he says that at the last stroke of midnight, nothing will be as it was before, and the spell will be set. Morgan decides to go out and gets her "I Want" song called "Perfect," where she ironically doesn't want to be perfect. And then Giselle starts to turn from the nice fairy tale character to full-on wicked as she locks Morgan in her room after Morgan accidentally backtalks to her. But Morgan escapes, but Giselle finds her, and she turns good, and decides to ask Morgan to go get help, but then she pushes Morgan down the well in the yard. And with Morgan gone, Giselle decides that she wants to become queen of Asia. So there's this big conflict between Giselle and Malvina. Yeah. Anyway, so apparently, surprise, surprise, the well leads to Andalasia, where she meets Robert and Nancy again, and who tell her that Giselle's wish for a fairy tale life has been sucking the magic out of Andalasia, and that if she can't stop it, Andalasia will be gone forever. Anyway, so Morgan and Nancy go to the real world. I'm kind of disappointed that they basically left Edward out of the main climax because he's a good character. But anyway, Idina Menzel gets this beautiful song called Love Power. Also, did I mention that Morgan's falling in love with Malvina's son Tyson? But anyway, Giselle decides to crash the ball. Oh, the festival, I guess, that Malvina's holding. Between you and me, it's actually just a ball. And apparently Malvina has stolen the wand, but Giselle manages to get it back. And when they break the wand, and when they break the wand and the spell is basically about to be set, of course, Robert and Tyson try to stop the clock from chiming. I mean, Giselle almost dies, but luckily Morgan uses the wishing wand to wish for everything to be back to normal, and everything does go back to normal. And basically only Giselle and Morgan, and it's implied that Malvina may remember some of it, but yeah, they basically live happily ever after. My thoughts on Disenchanted is that it was pretty good. In fact, I'd say it may have been better than the original, and you can expect way more Disenchanted content coming out very soon. Also, comment down below if you think that there's going to be an Enchanted 3. Re-Enchanted, anyone?